What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the Slumber Party Massacre. Okay, first things first, I'm going to do a little quick breakdown of the plot, and just to give everyone a heads up, I am getting into spoilers here. So the basic plot is you hear on a couple radios that this this murderer escaped. He killed 5 people in the 60s. He escaped prison. He's loose. And you have this group of high school girls. They're having a little slumber party. They're turning up. They're smoking that Maui Wowie. They're drinking beers. They're eating all kinds of good food. It seems like a fun slumber party. They're at the slumber party. This murderer, Russ Thorne, crashes the party and starts picking them off. So that's the general story. To get into I'm going to get into a little behind the scenes stuff here first. So something that's really interesting about this movie is the director actually. So the director is a female, which I believe all of the Slumber Party Massacre movies are directed by women, which was pretty uncommon back in the day, so that's pretty darn cool. But anyways, I don't know the director's name, but she was working as an editor. She was editing a lot of films, and she was actually she had the opportunity to edit E.T., which is insane, and because that's just an iconic movie, that's a huge movie, but she also got the offer to direct this, and she chose to direct this, which may seem crazy, but as far as above the line positions in the film industry, directing is one of the highest positions that you can work in. And she even said that most directors at that time got their start in slasher movies. They're not gonna start you out with a $20 million movie. They start you out with slasher movies. They start you out with lower budget stuff. They see what you can do with a lower budget. Actually, the reason she got the job to direct this is because she filmed and directed the prologue of this script, and she only did it for $1,000, and she did a pretty darn good job. And she just did that. It was just a random thing. She did this script. She chose it just to do this prologue, and Roger Corman actually chose, he wanted her to finish the rest of the movie, so they continued with this script, but they altered it quite a bit. I believe she rewrote a lot of it, but I thought the behind the scenes stuff was so interesting about this. Turning down E.T., but I think it all worked out, because I'm pretty darn sure she went on to have a pretty successful career. So getting back into, let me get into some of the characters. So the killer himself, Russ Thorne, I really liked. So he is so creepy. His movements are creepy. He's always hiding. There's this one part where you just see his face pop out of the bushes. He's always lurking. He's really creepy. His movements are creepy. And I think his main weapon in this is a power drill. And personally, I think it's a very iconic weapon. It definitely sets him apart, and there's quite a few cool kills. The gore in this is pretty darn good. It's the type of thing with these 80s slasher movies, sometimes the MPAA really butchered them where they censored it so much and they had to cut so much stuff out. This had some pretty decent gore, and like I said, the power drill was a cool weapon, so it made for some pretty darn cool kills in my opinion. So yeah, Russ Thorn, I thought he was a very cool killer. He was very creepy, very scary, and the actor who played him, he went totally method. He isolated himself from the rest of the cast. He didn't talk to anyone. He was he to prepare. He read the book Helter Skelter, and that's how he got his motivation, because he thought that it wouldn't be believable if his motivation was just that he was angry or something like that. So what he read in Helter Skelter was that a lot of serial killers, their motivation is that in their head they think they love their victim, and they're doing it out of love, which this killer, like a lot of killers, is mostly silent, but he does break his silence later in the movie, and he just says, "You're very beautiful. I love you. It takes a lot of love to do something like this." I know I did the crazy eyes there, but I was trying to recreate it, get into it. But yeah, it was actually the actor who played Russ Thorn, it was his first job. It was his first job, and this is a lower budget movie, but he took it incredibly seriously. That's insane. He's doing research, he's reading. Oh yeah, another thing too. Like I said, he was going method. He was method acting, and in addition to isolating himself and not talking to anyone, he did this method acting trick called animalization, where you take on mannerisms of an animal, and the animal that he chose to personify was a peacock, and you'll see the way that he moves. There's a sequence where he's chasing Brink Stevens, and he's in this locker room, and his head is straight, and he turns. His head is straight, and he turns, very much like a peacock. And then he was even saying the way that he walks. There's this close-up. I thought he was rocking some pretty cool boots, these leather boots, but he does heel first, and then he does the toe. So, and he had a really slow walk. Even the way he would caress the drill was, he just, all of his movements were so calculated, and like I said, this part probably didn't really call for that. It's a lower budget movie. It's his first acting job, and he just went above and beyond with all the research and all the effort. So that was pretty darn cool. Going off of the point that I was just saying, where he's caressing the drill, there of course, this is a slasher movie, so you have some TNA, you have a lot of nudity, a lot of tits. It's par for the course. That's how it goes. It's an 80s slasher movie. You gotta have it. So there's a lot of like sexual symbolism as well. So the drill is basically, it's supposed to be like a phallic symbol. It's there's this one, it's kind of like overt, like a couple, it's not like, I mean, it's pretty in your face. So he, at one point, he has his legs spread wide, and then it comes down the middle. It's supposed to look like his package, and later, this is, like I said earlier, I'm getting into a lot of spoilers in this review. Later, he gets the drill cut, and it's basically supposed to symbolize like his manhood being cut, because then he's defeated after that. Another thing that they said an underlying metaphor in this movie is that it's supposed to represent a virgin's fear of sex. So the drill is, of course, supposed to be a package, and the women are scared of this thing. Yeah, so there's some it's a cheap, low budget slasher movie, but there's some social commentary. There's some metaphors There's a little bit more to it than you would think, and it didn't bother me. I feel like I've said this in other reviews, but movies that have too much social commentary or where it's too in your face, it bothers me. But in this case, it was very subtle, and it wasn't preachy, so it didn't bother me, and I thought it was kind of clever, honestly. All right, let me just check my notes. Yeah, my overall impression. So this is the second time I've seen this. The first time that I saw this, I really didn't like it. I thought it was boring and it didn't do anything for me. I was almost falling asleep and I was not feeling it. This time I actually really enjoyed it. I really liked it. It really had that 80s feel. I thought the score was great. The music was really good. I don't know how to describe it, but the music was super memorable in my opinion. I liked a lot of the characters. Like I said, there was some good nudity. It's a slasher movie. I like some nudity in a slasher movie. It was a good time. I thought, like I said earlier, the kills, the gore, it was all there. I thought Russ Thorne as the killer was pretty darn cool. I thought he was creepy, and I liked his weapon. I liked a lot about him. So that's why I like rewatching stuff, because yeah, I really enjoyed this franchise overall. I really don't dislike any of the entries. This is a solid franchise. I know this is probably not people's favorite, and it's not like the big boys. It's not Freddie, Michael, Jason, but it has charm in my opinion, and you definitely feel like you're watching an 80s slasher. It has that 80s slasher vibe. It's a good time. So standout moments, yeah, the body in the fridge. I like that. I've seen that in quite a few horror movies where there's a body in a fridge, and I always like that. It's funny because the main girl, the final girl, her younger sister, they're going over to I believe the final girl was invited to the slumber party, but she's watching her sister. But anyways, they're not at the slumber party, but they go over to check things out. And her younger sister is one of my favorite characters. She is so funny. The first thing that she wants to do is raid the fridge for beer. She's like, "While we're here, like, can I get a beer?" And her older sister is like, "You're underage. Like, you guys are on the same team." In my opinion, if you're siblings, you're not supposed to be like that. She's not even that much older, and she's trying to not even let her have a beer. Like, what the heck is up with that? I don't know about that. You all should be both grabbing some beers, having some beers together. But I like that was her first thought. Like I said, she's a pretty darn funny character, probably one of my favorite characters. Another standout scene is so earlier on in the slumber party, the girls are changing. They're probably wearing uncomfortable clothing, so they're changing into more loungewear, more comfortable stuff. And the guys, they happen to walk by a window while this is happening, and they're like, "Are we in heaven?" Blah blah blah. Because the girls are changing. You're seeing some tits, this and that. So in every single movie in this franchise, you have a scene like that where the girls are changing or they're stripping or whatever at the slumber party, and the guys, come across a window and see it. So I like that little continuity, that little, I don't know, it's a fun little thing that it's every entry shares that, and you're watching a Slumber Party Massacre movie. It's a good time. I love it. So yeah, another standout moment is, so they order a pizza, and when the pizza delivery guy gets there, he's already been killed by Russ Thorne. And later on, the dead pizza guy has been sitting in there sitting in their house for quite a while, and the pizza's there, and this one girl, she just starts eating the pizza from the dead guy, and she's like, you know, what? You think I'm not gonna eat the pizza? Whenever I'm stressed out, whenever I'm scared, eating always makes me feel best. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. I appreciate funny moments like that. You know, I was watching some behind the scenes stuff, and the director was saying that she doesn't think this is just a slasher movie. It's also a comedy. You do have quite a few comedic moments. The like I said, the younger sister's pretty darn funny. The scene that I just mentioned with the guys, you know, watching the girls through the window, the scene with the pizza, there is quite a bit of comedy, and I was definitely smiling a little bit at some of those comedic scenes. But yeah. Another thing about the younger sister that I wrote down is that, like I said, she immediately wants to raid their beers, and throughout the movie she's kind of witty, she's always cracking jokes, but also she's always just reading porn magazines. So I mean, she was gangster. She was probably my favorite character, and it's so weird because the first time I saw the second movie, I didn't know that her character was the girl in the second movie, because it's a different actress, and the way that they play the character is totally different. In this movie, she's a lot funnier, but it would make sense because she, you know, has PTSD from this incident in the second movie. So she's a little bit more serious and not as silly. But I've pretty much said everything that I want to say about this movie. It was a pretty darn good time. If you're into 80s slasher movies, this is a must watch. I would say check out this entire franchise. Don't go out and, you know, if the DVDs are all out of print, so people are charging an arm and a leg on eBay. I would say don't pay for these. Don't pay, like, if you could find them cheap, but you probably can't. But you can find the first two on most free streaming services, and the third one I just found on YouTube. It was terrible quality. I'm gonna be honest, I watched it in like 360p or 260p or something like that, but I didn't want to pay $30 for the DVD, so I was like, I'll just watch it in 360p, whatever. I know that sounds crazy, but whatever. I don't know. What is that? VHS quality? Is that? No, VHS is probably better. I don't know. Once I started watching it, I got used to it. But anyways, like I said, I've pretty much said everything that I wanted to say about this movie. I think it's a must watch. If you're a fan of 80s slashers, check out part 2 and 3 as well. That's my review. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.